Hi, how are you guys?
Good, good.
Fine. So
Namaskar.
anyway, so the situation was about I forget what year it was, but it's about 10 plus years ago. They sold out to China, but they kept the name GE because
Yeah,
it was a household name.
yeah.
But oddly, like I have my first refrigerator from many, many years ago. It went to the garage. I actually shared it with a family member when they needed one and then brought it back because we're farmers. We can use it.
Yeah, true.
So um, so interesting enough to me, that refrigerator's still going 35 plus years. It's kicking butt and still making ice and everything else. And then I have a newer model. And I went to GE because, hey, they've always been good to me. And, 3 years, no, it was 1 year later, it broke. And I was like, this isn't good. And all my food in it died, rotted and everything because I was out of town. Um, got it fixed. Another year, it broke again. So I contacted the CEO. I did. I contacted the CEO of GE and gave him my peace of mind. And he actually paid for all my food both times and fixed it. This time it lasted 3 years. So I started doing research, and it finally broke for good. Like there was no fixing it. And I looked into the reason why it broke for good, and it was the compressor, right? Where the freon goes.
Yeah,
And the ones we have are made so good. The ones we built 35 years ago made so good that the freon never leaked out. 35 years later, it still hasn't leaked out.
yeah,
Um, those are designed so that freon leaks out in 3 to 5 years, and then you have to buy a whole new compressor system, which you're better off buying a new
yeah,
refrigerator, which this really irritates me. It irritates me for two reasons. Because you can't replace the freon unless you're licensed because it's such a dangerous gas. Now that gas, the Chinese are leaking gas into my house that I'm breathing night and day,
yeah,
night and day, night and day. Poisonous gas that never leaked into my house before. But I have to replace my refrigerator every 5 years. And now the compressors are made in China because we like to cut corners and save
yeah,
money. But it's just
yeah,
like the same dang thing we did with our vehicles in war, right? We took off a certain piece of armor on them because the military wanted to save some money. And so when our men ran over, explosives, what happened? The vehicle blew up and killed our men because we have to cut corners. We have to save money and we buy cheaper from China instead of just going ahead and paying the money. So I'm sorry to get on my stage here, my soapbox, but I'm really annoyed that nobody stopped that. And they know that that gas is leaking. You
So,
know it is.
so that's the strategy actually. I think Kim, that's the strategy because that's what happening in India. I mean, people who were using old products, they are still working. And if you are talking about new products, new electronics, things like that, it just work for maybe more than a year. And if it worked for a year, you are good to go. I mean, that is what the plan for those people are. They want us to buy day in day out again and again for the same thing.
Yeah,
And
disposable. It's
yeah,
disposable.
but I think that's not happening with the Chinese entertainment industry. I think Kevin is there, so I hope he's following the Chinese entertainment industry as well. Although whenever we have an Alibaba grand show in China, when they do all kinds of Black Friday sale, they invite all the Americans for this show.
They do.
All
Yeah,
Americans.
it's all.
Last
But
time it
what
was
bothers
Taylor Swift was there, and I think the number I don't remember, but they have done it for around $33 billion of sale per day. That is what the figure is. But Kevin must have more knowledge than us. Kevin, over to you.
More knowledge on China economy? Nope, zero, zilch, nada,
China
zero.
entertainment.
Not my forte. Let's just say that.
you don't have any jokes about it? Come
What the
on.
Chinese government? I mean, I try and God, it's every day with them and the nonsense they pull. So no, my jokes are not. I try and not do. I really don't do political humor or economical humor or stuff like that. I just try and make people laugh and forget what is out there. The minute they go back to their car, they'll remember it then. But the hour and a half or two that they're in the club, they can just forget about everything and just space out and enjoy life.
That's the way it should be right now. We all need that moment of just feeling like we're somewhere else rather than facing the challenges that we are day to day. But, Mohammed, you bring us such good news. Can you come tomorrow and share it with the startups and businesses?
Yes, I'm interested for that.
Awesome. Because it's just.
He's always
And
welcome. Sometimes he's busy. He can show up.
no. See, whenever you require me, you can give me information. I will be there. No worry at all. I'm ready.
Awesome.
I'm
Well,
always
you've been
ready.
with
24
us
hours.
since the beginning of the show, and I really appreciate you just sticking in with us, because there are times I know it gets a lot of going on here, but you've always been so patient with us, and I appreciate it. But we're all in this together, like we say, trying to build one world, one community. We're going to have to be, if we're going to fight future viruses, we're going to have to work together, and China's just going to have to get off of their high horse and join the world, or they're going to cut themselves out to the point that they are in non-existence if they're not careful. I don't care.
Or it'll be another war. Or it'll be another war. Bottom line,
Yes.
it's going to happen, unfortunately. But
I just want to praise America right now. Can I
Good
praise
point,
America
Gavin.
right now?
you sure
Oh, thank
can
you.
continue.
Why are you praising us?
See,
Don't
See,
say
I
it's
just
a
want
bad
to
thing.
praise
It's like a
America.
I just want to know. Go ahead, Mohammed. What are you saying?
Yeah. See, the role and responsibility and SWOT analysis is very mandatory right now. When we talk about the pharmaceutical industry, America is the best stakeholders, having the 40% stake of whole pharmaceutical industry. Why? Because see, America has the core competency level right now. America is pioneer in innovating the medicine and working on the research, patent, and everything. So there is no match of America right now. See, this is not praise only. This is a fact of the time. And when we talk about the China and India, see, in India, the private sectors are investing more time, money, and energy towards development of the industry, and government too. But the private sectors are more harder than the government. Why we are lacking in manufacturing the active pharmaceutical ingredients, because government was not supporting at all to manufacture these APIs. Otherwise, we are very much competent on enough right now. We have the language. There is no barrier of language. We have very good talent, pharmaceutical talent, pool of talent actually. So we can match the manufacturing of API right now. See, if we can supply the 20% demand of the global market, why not we can manufacture API also? So the SWOT analysis is that the government should work hand in hand with the private sectors, with industry. Then only we can grow. See why China is growing, because of two three reasons. One, Chinese government are giving good amount of funding in a very low interest rate. And second thing, their manufacturing unit are running 24 hours when we talk about the API, and they are getting all the chemicals, excipients, and everything available out there easily. And the fourth thing, they are having the very core competency in transportation as such. So we have to think all these parameters to take a bold step. And I think within 3 to 5 years of time, India can surpass the manufacturing whatever China is manufacturing right now. And the good thing that this is a natural relation, whatever we are going to develop 4,061 hectares land out here.
That's a
Wow.
good news, but I'll come back to the Celebs Tuesday with Kevin. So, Kevin, last time we discussed about podcasting and a lot of shows which we were doing and which we are doing on IBM.
Mm.
So, there's another side of you, which is the comedy stand-up. Can you share some stories about that?
Oh my God, how much time do I have? I've been doing this now 10 years. It's not my only job. It definitely isn't. It's not a lot of money in it until you make it to the absolute tippity top. It really started for me. Just every comic has the same. A lot of this has had the same story. You're always, the class clown, or always told you were funny. That's how a lot of people kind of get that nudge to go check it out, and that some of that is true for me. I was, wise ass in school, ... Always easy to come up with quick jokes for me, any situation. And then I got into corporate America because that's what everybody has to do when you graduate college. That's what my dad said when he said, hey, you have a degree in film and TV. Cool. Now go out and get a job. Oh, Steven Spielberg's not giving out assistant directorial roles on his next film. Too bad. Go out and get a job in the real world. So it kind of got pushed along a different path than I thought I would be in college. And then after a while in corporate America, I would say, let's do some quick math. It was 99. I graduated 2009. So about like 9 years I was in it. And I was just saying, Jesus Christ, there's so much more to life than people waking up and getting on the zombie shuttle. We call it the subway. And just no one grows up and says, I want to be in marketing as a kid. There's nothing fun about that. Or I want to be in insurance sales. There's no one says that. But people find their way there just because they need to make a living somehow, some way. They don't truly do what they love. And after in corporate America, after getting screwed over for bonuses and fighting the dumb battle just so people can, someone's going to try and screw people over just to get an extra $10,000, whatever it is, raised. I said, there's more to life than this nonsense. So I said, hey, what if I try and see if I can do something else? Let's see if there is something there. So I thought about doing comedy. Now, here's where my story is. I think it's kind of cool. I went to go see the movie Up in the Air with George Clooney because Avatar was sold out. So I saw that. And it's a fantastic film, Up in the Air. Not Avatar, not good. But Up in the Air is fantastic. Why? Well, George Clooney plays a guy who goes around and fires people for a living. And in one scene, he fires the guy. His name is J.K. Simmons. He was the drum teacher in Whiplash. He was J. Jonah Jameson in the first 3 Tobey Maguire Spider-Man films. He's excellent. So anyway, Clooney fires him. And then J. Jonah Jameson shows him, J.K. Simmons, sorry, I call him by his Spider-Man nickname. He shows him a picture of his kids. He goes, well, what do I tell them? And Clooney looks at his resume and says, well, okay, let's look at your resume. Hey, you minored as a French pastry chef in college, and you got a job as a dessert chef when you graduated in a restaurant. And the line that shot a bolt of lightning up my ass is where he said, tell me this, how much did they pay you to give up on your dream? And then J.K. Simmons looks down and goes, like, $25,000 a year. I said, well, that's it. I knew right then and there that was the Alchemist moment. The book, The Alchemist. That was my Alchemist moment where I was like, you know what? We're going to give this a shot. So what I did was I just wrote out stuff I thought was funny. I mean, I've been watching stand-up for years, so I know how to how to write out jokes, and ran it by friends and recorded the material and just listened to it in my car over and over and over and over and over until I memorized it. And then 3 months later, I did my first open mic, March 10th, 2010 in the West Village in New York City. And that's how I got started.
Wow. Good. So I got a question. What to you is the top? What to you would be the top of your industry?
That's a great question. And I asked that a lot of comics friends and we hang out. What is making it, in quotes, making it. Some people's version of making it, or my version of making it, is a lot different than yours or the next person next to us. One person could say making it, my friend Gino Bisconti. He said, I'm paying all my bills and I'm living an okay lifestyle from comedy. I've made it. Okay. Whereas me, when I say I make it, I can, at least equal my corporate America salary and say, I'm out of here and just worry about, making my shows, getting my shows made, my, fantasy football jibber jabber, comics watching comics, or the podcast we had talked about last week, which was Gutting the Sacred Cow. If I can get paid and live off that, the current lifestyle I am now, I've made it. Anything above that, if I get the stupid money in, like the Jets and the Chris Rock status or something like that status, in the film deals, that would be great. But if I could just host my TV shows and just be able to create and host the shows I've done, I'm going to call that a win. So I would say my making it is more, I guess it's in the middle of what some people call it. Again, some people, they say they're happy being road dogs, meaning that you're on the road 300 days out of the year, flying all over the country to do clubs. That's your cup of tea, by all means. Not for me, not anymore at least, and that's making it for you. Cool. It's just my version of making it's different, and that's fine. Everyone's allowed to have their own version of making it. So that's my version of making it.
One of the things I liked about our conversation today with some other celebrities is, where you're talking about being on the road, being on stage, being live versus maybe being on TV. You get that different feedback, right? If you're on TV, you're not getting that same crowd feedback. Can you
Right.
feel the difference? Do you feel the difference, or have you overcome that?
With comics, watching comics, it's on Amazon Video. So you don't know what kind of feedback you're going to get, which is funny because when we're on the couch, like if you watch a show, so basically it's Mystery Science Theater 3000 meets Last Comic Standing. We watch comics, me and a panel of much more tenured comics than I am. We all sit back, we watch the show, we watch the comics doing the intermediate comics doing their material. We praise, we critique, we offer advice. And just I can tell by when I cut it, when I edit it, I'm like, that's gonna be good, that's gonna be good. But the final, I know that's gonna be good moment isn't until I go out and about or I air it and I get social media people hitting me up, or I'm on the street and people are, and they, hey man, I really like your talk about the season 6 joke where you had so and so on stage. Like it's not as instantaneous, but the minute you drop it, it goes on social media and out there. You'll be made aware real fast if it stinks or if it's good.
Well, that's interesting because now we're kind of waiting for social media to give us that feedback. And one of the things about live stream, if you're, once you've built up your crowd, that live stream kind of gives you that a little bit too. We were noticing that on our first cafe. What have you got, Ed? What are you saying, Kevin? What?
I like your video.
Video.
Oh, thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Well, tell you what happened.
That's how Ed gives you social media. He's going to put a note up.
I'll take it.
A lot of comments live, but virtually I can give you these kind of comments basically by just saying a play card.
Yeah, we like you. We'll put a big heart. Just a heart. I hit the heart button a lot. If I like something, I'm going to hit the heart button.
The only
and you get those little floaty hearts.
The only problem though with some people are trying to do Zoom comedy, which is there it is. With Zoom comedy, it's again not for me, but that's fine. You don't have when you're doing stand-up, that's one-on-one. When you do a show like a theater and it's taped and you see it on Netflix, the audience is right there. So your immediate reaction is you can gauge it. But when you do Zoom comedy, there's that lag time. And it's just not, it's so much more intimate. People are doing Zoom dating. Kimberly, let's say you and I were going to a Zoom date. That'd be pretty hot, right? But we couldn't sit there and vibe and connect and have the chemistry we could having a drink together at a bar versus over Zoom. And this very same goes for stand-up. There's not that give and take. Like I can see you all, but I'd rather see you closer. And then I could look it down at maybe Ankit's shirt and go, maybe make fun of your shirt or something. I don't know, whatever. Or notice that you've been playing with your cell phone for the last 10 minutes and make fun of that. There you go, playing with your elephant or whatever. Just stuff like that. It just doesn't have that intimate feel. Oh, you're gonna spray bug spray on me? That's cool. But
bug off.
But there's missing that intimacy that you absolutely must have with stand-up. It's a relationship with the audience when you're at a club. If you haven't been to one, if you haven't been to a show, you won't know what I'm talking about until you've been to a stand-up show and you're there and you see how it's just not a soliloquy. It really is a conversation, but you guys are muted unless we talk to you directly.
And I'll tell you, I get the same feeling when I speak, publicly speak. Sure, and sometimes I'm there and I feel the crowd out a little bit and I go, you know what? What I brought here is not going to work. I've switched it. Of course, my team hates it when I do that. What about you? Do you ever get on stage and you go, you know what? The crowd's not getting me. Have you ever just switched it?
Yeah. You can hear. Are you allowed to curse on this or be a little risque on this channel?
A little, not too heavy profanity.
All right.
No,
we like to call it, that's when you can hear the buttholes tighten up. So if you do material that's a little risque or people are just not digging, we then we go into our A+ proven material and then try and get them back. And then maybe back at later on, because maybe sometimes people jump out to the risque stuff too fast. You haven't built up enough credit with the audience yet. Some places just anything goes. You can see that. Depends on where you go in the show. If you're like the third or fourth comic, you know what the room is going to be like after the MC is done. But even after the first comic, we call that butting the bullet because that's always the hardest part is just getting everybody warmed up and ready and, ready to roll. So that's the hard part. So Yeah, I definitely have. I've many a time have pulled the all right. It's like a quarterback checking his wrist brakes. Like, all right, calling the audible now. So if I sense a room is not buying what I'm selling, I pull that cord and I go veer off another direction. Maybe revisit it later on. Depends on how they've taken into what I have at hand now. But yeah, plenty of times have I had to adjust on the fly.
And people don't realize how difficult that can be, because now your mind's got to adjust the last comment, the last comment you said, to make sure it blends and everything. And we do that in business too, right, Mohammed? Sometimes we're in a business meeting and all of a sudden you're like, ooh, these guys are not there. And everything you planned, your whole pitch deck, everything's got to be erased. But that's hard on stage. We got the toolkit.
We need a toolbox to fix every time. That's what we do. I mean, be in comedy, be in business, be in media, be on live. We need to do a lot of tricks and tricks based on the audience reaction. And my question to Kevin is that you must be enjoying live comedy in front of audience. But what kind of feedback do you have when people watch comedy on television? They don't interact with the presenter or with the performer, but they have more views. I think they like more when they watch on TV or watch performing live. What do you think?
So what my advice to the audience is: shut up. You're not the show. We are. You're paying us to do it. So you're not part of the show. There's nothing more annoying when people want to come in and think it's about them. And there's nothing more that creates a knot in your stomach when a comic's on stage and you find out there's a women's bachelorette party there, because they think it's going to be all about them, and they turn out to be the most annoying people because they just jab in their corner and they don't shut up. The worst. And listen, and now with social media, unfortunately, it gives a lot of people who really shouldn't have opinions, because they're not really well thought out opinions in general. Just because you don't like a joke, if it may offend you, doesn't mean you need to go out and try and get that comic canceled. Just because you don't like it. Right.
Thank you.
Yeah. If you don't like it, shut up and wait for the next bit to move along. That's fine. You're not going to go to a movie and scream if let's say you don't like hearing the F word. You're not going to go to a movie and go, "Dear George Clooney, I did not like when you said during." No, shut up. No one cares. No one cares. If you don't like it, that's fine. Just wait. Or if it really offends you, just pay your check and get out. That's it. But don't go on the whole scene about it. You're the narcissistic a-hole, and you need to check yourself. You're not that important. That's our point.
No, the people need to realize just because it's not for you doesn't mean it isn't for somebody else.
Right.
And that's in business too. People in business too. And if I'm not enjoying a night out, then I'm just going to move on because my life's too short.
Right.
Right. But I feel the same way. You know what? If you don't like something I said or my opinion, don't try to get me taken off the internet. Just move on and post your own opinion. I don't mind if people post their own opinions, right? It just it could be, just there's so many different ways to handle that situation. But we're all different.
And it's sad because there is no prize for trying to get people canceled. Do you think the person who got Kevin Hart in trouble when he had that tweet a few years ago, do you think that person's out at the bars bragging to, maybe he's trying to pick up a guy or a girl like, yeah, guess what? I'm the guy that got Kevin Hart canceled. No one's doing that. There is no bounty. There is no prize. You're just here we go. You're just an asshole. And that's what it comes down to. There's nothing that's redeeming about it. No financial gain, no social status gain. There's nothing to gain except that you're that unlikable asshole, and don't be that person.
Well, and the thing is it's about one-upping, and we became that with all these stupid reality TV shows like Jersey Shores, and it all became about who's one up on the other. And I'm sorry I use that as my example, but to me, it just kind of turned our whole country around, and everybody has to be angry and attitude rather than just sit back and enjoy each other for who they are. Not everybody's perfect.
So you hate Guidos. Got it.
I hate Guidos. I am not into that. I'm sure if I sat down with him one-on-one, I'd have a great time.
No, you wouldn't. I live in Jersey, and I've seen that movie a million times over. I've been to the shore. I don't go to Seaside where they tape, because that's where, garbage people hang out. I'm sure people are going to throw me hate mail, but that's fine. Go to other beaches. There are better beaches down there in Jersey, but that's not a good place. No, thank you. But yeah.
You
We
sound
know.
so much like me. I'm always just going to say it. You know, you're going to hate me for saying this, but I'm going to say this, guys. This is how I feel. Because sometimes, you know, it's just what you see. And this is what I tell people. This is the way I see it. And,
Yeah, and it's
you know,
also
correct me if I'm wrong.
It's a heavily edited show. You're only seeing, and it's script by that is as scripted as can be.
Oh, tell me about it.
Are they all raging assholes? Probably not, but they definitely have scenarios. I know reality show cast,
I do too.
I know people who worked on Survivor. I know those things are rigged. They're not, they're not just sitting around reading books, because what fun is watching people sitting around reading a book? Like, no, I tell you what, Snooki, go start a fight with the situation, because no one's going to care watching it that the situation is reading A Tale of Two Cities. It's never going to happen.
No. And the thing is this is unedited. This is real. Everything we do, everything Nick and I have ever done on any TV show has been unedited. All of that. I know, like you, I know a few of the actors. I've met them in my travels, and they tell me it's a lot of work. It's a lot of study. It's a lot of understudy. It's a lot of rehearse. And I'm like, you're kidding me. You actually rehearse that crap? I mean, what have you got?
It's hilarious to rehearse that. Let's rehearse going to the gym. Let's rehearse throwing some of our roommates stuff around in a drunken rage. Let's just make sure we get that take 3. Let's see that again. That lamp did shatter.
Speaking of drunken rage, everybody, happy Cinco. Happy Cinco de Mayo Day. We've been talking about tequila. Yeah. Happy Cinco de Mayo. You know, yesterday was May the 4th be with you, right? It's an engineering thing. Okay, nobody laughed.
Oh, it's a Star Wars.
May the 4th be with you. Yeah. May the 4th be with you. Every May 4th, that's our big day. We all text each other because I'm a geek. Yeah, May the 4th be with you. So anyway, but today is Cinco de Mayo, and we've been talking about tequila this morning. We had some songs, and actually my song is about tequila. If you go out to ibm.tv, under music, you can hear my song that I recorded in Nashville last year, and it's all about partying with tequila. The troubles we get into. Lynn's got a call. He's a very important man. So
You're
anyway,
buying Britannica right now.
So you know what's great is I don't know if I got to test something out here. I got to see how fast the toilet paper sold out on Lynn's store.
It hasn't. It hasn't.
Okay.
It's still there. It's still there. By the way, if you like, may the 4th go with you. You might want to try March 4th. Did you know that March 4th is the only command in the calendar?
No.
Think about that. March 4th.
March 4th. March 4th. I love it. Yep. Military. That's got to be a military thing.
It is.
I'll have to talk to my nephew about that. March 4th. I'll have
Yep.
to. I will remember that. Our boss says phone.
Yep.
Why is he saying phone?
He's talking about Lynn's phone.
Oh, it's gone. It's gone.
It's gone.
It's gone. It's gone.
So I just love this. My boss can just pipe in anytime he wants.
So if you look at the website, we still have toilet paper. Okay.
Yes, I'm gonna.
And we have
that's pretty cool.
We have Kleenex. Okay. We have lots of products. And we still have that one